listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from Cinemajaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye, the movie guy, and sitting to my left is KP.
Hello.
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, it is the end of the world as we know it.
Oh, good one, dude.
As we cover our top 5 post-apocalypse movies.
I'm just pissed I didn't think of that REM reference.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I can't believe that we've been doing the Jaw as long as we have, and we haven't talked about...
Post-apocalyptic movies?
Yeah.
That is pretty surprising. It seems like a very surface-level topic, right? Like one we should have done in year one.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there. We talk about these movies often enough on various lists, but we never actually focused exactly on post-apocalyptic movies. True.
I think we've come at this in a lot of different ways, like survival movies and man versus environment and stuff like that. But this, you're right. This is the first time we're doing post-apocalyptic movies.
Yes, and we are doing this in honor of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
Right.
Big review this week. Plus, you got out and saw Garfield as well.
Isn't that thematic?
I can't wait to hear.
This is the Barbenheimer of 2024.
The whole family, all the Kabinskis went to the Garfield.
Furiosa Field?
Garfiosa is way better. Garfiosa's amazing.
They're both good.
I just like imagining Garfield as like a bald Mr. Bigglesworth. And
Hell
then
yeah.
Furiosa, I don't know, as John or Liz. That's horrible.
With one giant eye that has... Yeah.
Good stuff. Plus, Matt, we have a great guest joining us this week.
Yeah, Kyle Cubr is joining us. There is a series that he is producing at the Music Box called the Godzilla versus the Music Box Film Series Festival.
Yep. Happens June 7th through the 13th. We're coming up on it. I just love the name. I got to ask Kyle if he came up with it. Godzilla versus the Music Box sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome.
Tons of Godzilla movies are going to be playing there, so we are going to talk to Kyle about that. Plus, in honor of Mad Max, you are going to take Kyle on in Mad Max series cast movie trivia. So anybody that's appeared in a Mad Max movie. God. But there's actually only a few big names, believe it or not. The first two are really only Mel Gibson.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is some esoterica in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't go that deep.
We're not going to be talking about Toe Clipper or anything?
No.
Okay.
No. But we're going to play some Mad Max series cast trivia. And it is still Viggo Mortensen month. So let's start there. I believe this is the last week we're going to be celebrating Viggo. So let's kick it off with the Viggo fact.
This is the last week that we've celebrated Viggo, and I have got a bone to pick with one Rye the movie guy during this whole Viggo Mortensen month. This will actually come back up later in my clip too, but we'll get back to that in a moment, because I have been the only one on this show to mention the only Viggo Mortensen horse movie. Ryan, you're doing us a disservice. And that's what our fact is today. It's about Hidalgo. In his spare time, Viggo Mortensen is, in real life, a very accomplished horseman. And so much so to the fact that in Lord of the Rings, the character Aragorn had been given more saddle time than was originally scripted. When we go back and we're talking about how Aragorn was originally going to be Daniel Day-Lewis, I saw Abe Lincoln. The man can't ride that well. And then he actually went on to purchase the horse that he was riding from Lord of the Rings.
Interesting.
After filming was complete. And he even did the same thing in the actual horse movie, Hidalgo. You can't take... The man's equestrian.
He's an equestrian.
I didn't even know this. And when I saw The Dead Don't Hurt over at the Chicago Critics Fest at the Music Box, I commented that nobody rides a horse like Viggo. I mean, there's just something about him. He's a very natural horse rider. Sometimes when you see like a actor or actress on there, you could tell... Like, I don't know how real that is, you know?
They look like they're at the pumpkin patch getting a pony ride.
But Viggo, you could tell. I mean, there's shots of him controlling and using the horse and really going.
Well, and he gets to know these horses, too. Yeah, that's crazy.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Well, we ready to kick this thing into high gear, Matt?
I am.
Yes. Without further ado, we bring in our guest. Kyle Cubr is running an unbelievable fest called Godzilla vs. the Music Box. Again, it's taking place June 7th through the 13th at the Music Box Theater. Kyle, welcome to Cinemajaw.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Where do we begin with this?
I know.
We were talking downstairs before we hit record. Why don't we just start at the beginning? How did you come up with this idea? When did this like ding in your brain?
I've been trying to do some iteration of this for 8-9 years, working at the theater here, but I've been just a lifelong Godzilla fan ever since I was a kid. And the stars have aligned, I think, for the popularity of the MonsterVerse, Godzilla -1, the TV show. People really want to see these things, and I was given the green light to try and blow this thing out as much as possible. So we're going to try and play as many of the movies as we possibly can.
So how many can we expect at the fest? Do you have a number of Godzilla films already booked? How many is it?
So it is 24 movies, 23 of which are Godzilla, and then one standalone Mothra movie, which is also great in its own accord. So 24 total. And we got a 15-movie Showa marathon. That's all 15 movies from the original 54 to 75 era in there. We have some other special events throughout the week, including I have a Mothra Day, where we're going to play the original Mothra. We're going to play Mothra versus Godzilla, and then the longest Godzilla title, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, on 35 millimeter for that title. I have Svengoolie coming out one night. We're going to play.
Oh, how's he doing?
Is good much as I've been able to limitedly talk with him so far, but he's very pumped to come out and meet with us.
He doesn't use technology, so it's by pigeon that he's been communicating with
You
Kyle.
actually have to whisper his name into a skull and then put it under your pillow for a fortnight. But actually,
There's no way Svengoolie has a cell phone, right?
For those who don't, no, he doesn't. For those who don't know, Svengoolie is like the horror host that we grew up with in the Midwest, like Elvira local. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just occurred to me that some listeners might not have any idea who we're talking about.
Chicago legend.
It is a Chicago legend, no doubt. That's awesome.
And you're also doing a huge marathon on one of the days where you do a 24-hour fest with like food trucks, and people can stay at the Music Box the entire night.
The entire time. The idea was we do a 24-hour horror festival at the theater every year, and I was rewatching all these movies for a website. I was going to do a rankings list for them, and I was like, how much time did I spend writing this list? And something popped up where it showed the entire length of those movies, and I was like, oh my god, it's under 24 hours. And so I just started kind of hammering that home of like, we could do this. I don't think anyone has ever done this before. So I kept stumping for it. We got all the rights, and we're gonna have a lot of people come up for it. So we've sold 400 tickets for this thing, and then we try to bring out as many vendors as possible. So I got some toy vendors, I got some food vendors coming out. We're going to try and make it as fun as humanly possible.
Like what kind of toys? I'm just curious. Like obviously Godzilla stuff.
Of course, yeah. We got that. We'll have a little mix of some of the local horror shops that we work with and sell their memorabilia as well. They have a little bit of an overlap with their Godzilla memorabilia. We're going to have some comic book artists out that do work for IDW, and we'll have them out as well. We're going to have a tattoo artist coming out. They're going to do tattoos in the kind of the traditional Japanese style. I think we've posted a pic or two of that on our Instagram. If not, I can find some to drag those up. But it should be a pretty fun day and exhausting.
Yeah,
no
and it
doubt.
kicks off with a really banger of a opening night, right?
Absolutely.
You got two big movies planned.
Yeah, we got Shin Godzilla from 2016, and then we have the Oscar-winning Godzilla -1. I don't watch the Oscars a lot. This was the only time where I was really happy that a movie like that won.
Yeah, I gave a yeah. I was in my living room and I was like, yeah, I was pumped.
Yeah,
that Godzilla won an Oscar. Damn it!
Right.
I had a lot of friends text me just because of that particular moment. So
had you already been working on the fest when Godzilla won his Oscar?
Yes. So
that must have been a real moment.
The idea started to kind of really reach steam back in November is when we began planning this. So I put out a whole list of things we wanted to do for it, but it was always that we wanted to do Shin Godzilla and -1 as the opening night.
Do you think after all this is done, I mean, obviously you'll kind of know once the dust settles, no pun intended. Do you think this will be an annual thing? Do you think you'll try to attempt this again? Will you go in a different direction, do a different kind of festival?
I think this is probably going to kind of be a one-off type thing, just the way the theater kind of operates year over year. We are already in talks with the Japanese Arts Foundation, who's helping co-present this with us, to do something slightly different next year. But I will always stump to play as many Godzilla movies as possible. And out of the titles we're playing, there are still 12 that we are not showing, so there's still room for that somewhere down the line.
Of the movies that you are showing prior to the fest and prior to putting it all together. Had you already seen all of those?
Yes, I've watched all of these 4 or 5 times collectively over my life.
Are you a Godzilla completist?
Yes. Well, I guess technically no, because I haven't watched the anime ones on Netflix, but I've heard they're atrocious, so I've kind of kept those for a rainy day.
So I was at the Critics Festival, and we're in the lounge, a lot of critics there, and Dave Canfield, who you may be familiar, a big Godzilla fan, he asks me right away, are you going to the Godzilla Fest? And I said, I'm going to try to get out there. And he's like, you got to go for, and I thought he was joking. I'm not kidding, man. He says, you got to go for Godzilla versus the Smog Man. And I was like, this has got to be a made-up title. There can't be a movie called Godzilla versus the Smog Man.
Well, of course there is. I mean,
how good is it, Kyle?
It is one of the weirdest ones. It is
It
is the closing night movie. In fact, it is supremely psychedelic. There's bits of animation in there. It is probably it shows the most human carnage out of any of them. You see skeletons. Usually that doesn't happen a lot in any of the Godzilla movies, but it is just so uniquely its own thing. Big metaphor on pollution, global warming, that kind of a thing. It is just truly unique.
what is your favorite? By the way, it should be noted, saying the weirdest Godzilla movie, that counts for something.
It really
in
does.
a universe with Mothra.
It's really piqued my interest. I think I'm going to have to take Canfield up on the offer and be out there.
I kind of want to see it too now. But of all the films you're showing, what is your favorite? Let's take a couple out of the equation, because Shin Godzilla and -1, let's take those out of the equation.
Absolutely.
Removing those two, what is your favorite Godzilla film?
Out of those, I would say either, the original is always going to stand head and shoulders above everything, but there's been a couple that have been creeping up towards it in the last few years. I would say either Mothra versus Godzilla. I think that's 1964 when that one came out. I'm also a big fan of Destroy All Monsters, which is basically just the epitome of men in rubber suits fighting each other, and it's just like, what if we did the Avengers meetup of the Toho universe, basically?
Yeah, or maybe the Avengers are the meetup.
You're right.
Yeah, because they did it first.
Now, this may be semi-similar of an answer that I get from you, but I did want to ask, what are you most excited to see at the Music Box and screen in front of, how a wild crowd is at the Music Box? Which one of those is going to be like, wow, I'm happy this played here?
I can be a glutton for punishment, so playing Godzilla 98, despite all of its warts, should be pretty fun. That's one of those movies where people are reclaiming of, actually, it's kind of good. I don't always agree with that sentiment.
And we're not talking Matthew Broderick, right?
That's the one. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're doing that. We got like a pristine IBW Technicolor print of this movie that we're going to be screening. And then I'm trying to do some special pre-shows for each of these movies. And one of the elements of the pre-show for that particular one was when I was a kid, that movie was about to come out, and my school took us on a field trip to the Detroit Zoo. And when we were there, the local news was around, and they were like, can we interview you? Because I was just jazzed about being in the reptile house. And so they have a recording of me just asking me some questions about that. It ended up being, like 20 seconds on screen. But my parents kept the tape from that. And so I went and I got it scanned, and I'm going to put that as a part of the pre-show.
That's awesome.
I have it. It's about a 3-minute video, 3-minute segment. I can send it to you this afterwards. But there's 8-year-old me just jazzed as hell to watch this movie.
That's phenomenal, dude. That is great. I'm
That
so
is-
glad your parents kept that.
I couldn't believe it. I actually reached out to the local Fox affiliate back in Michigan to be like, do you still have footage of this, to try and find it? And I was surprised that my parents still kept the tape, despite not having a VCR anymore.
Wow.
So cool. Again, the festival, Godzilla vs. the Music Box, is taking place June 7th through the 13th. Opening night is sold out, but there's still a way you can get in to see the movies, and that is if you buy a festival pass.
That's correct.
And the best thing about it is the festival pass gets you into all screenings for one price. Where can they go online to get tickets for the pass and just individual tickets? Where should we guide them?
Go to musicboxtheater.com.
So simple. And we'll throw a link in the show notes as
Absolutely.
well for your convenience.
This is great.
This is worth traveling for.
Oh, yeah.
Like Kyle's saying, I don't think it's ever been done, and it may never be done again. So if you're interested in Godzilla, even a little bit, you should definitely go. Plus, the Music Box is a gem.
100.
It really is.
I can't think of a better place to do a Godzilla fest, So
Yeah. Well done, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.
Well done. Kyle is going to be sitting in on this entire jaw. He has his top 5 post-apocalyptic movies. And the reason why we're doing it, Matt, is a little
Garfield?
movie. It's a little movie called Furiosa. And let me tell you this. Director George Miller is 79 years old, and he is making the most badass blockbusters of the day. His first 3 directed films were Mad Max, Mad Max 2, and Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome. Now, those all came out between 1979 and 1985. The series then lay dormant for 30 years. In 2015, George Miller gave us Mad Max Fury Road and blew us all away. A pedal to the metal masterpiece that won 6 Academy Awards and topped numerous Best of the Year lists, including a couple here on Cinemajaw. Now, 9 years later, we get a prequel, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Can it live up to the high expectations set before it? I am happy to say, yeah, it can.
Furiosa! We've come too far. Furiosa! They took Furiosa!
As a child, my world was forever changed.
Furiosa opens up with a prologue of sorts that could have really been its own short film. This is where we meet young Furiosa, who is taken by a couple members that are part of a horde run by the warlord Dementus. Her mother gives chase to save her. I was totally engrossed by this opening. By the time we jump forward in time and see Anya Taylor-Joy playing Furiosa, it was about 40 to 45 minutes into the movie. Furiosa, trying to escape her captors, gets in the middle of a war between Dementus and Immortan Joe, leader of the Citadel. The action sequences are as amazing and as high octane as Fury Road. We get stuff like motorcycle paragliders. You heard that correct. Motorcycle paragliders. The world building done here by George Miller and his team is truly amazing. Every element of this film oozes the word cool. Playing Dementus is Chris Hemsworth. And I've been critical of him in the past, but I have to tip my cap to him this time around, as I found him to be a complete joy on screen. And I also liked Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. I wasn't sure she was going to be able to bring out the toughness and sell the character to me on that level, but I totally bought her portrayal. A character I have not mentioned is Jack, played by Tom Burke. His on-screen chemistry with Anya Taylor-Joy was great. I really liked them as a team, and that added to the enjoyment of the story as I actually cared about the stakes at hand. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I liked Furiosa just as much as I liked Fury Road. Matt, we saw this at separate screenings, so I have no idea where you stand on this. Do tell.
I don't know if we saw the same movie here, man. Seriously. This is no Fury Road, not even close. Good action movie, far cry from Fury Road. I'll always enjoy a couple hours in the Mad Max universe, and I enjoyed myself. But I was just hoping for another all-timer. This wasn't it, dude. Not at all. And you're dead wrong about Anya Taylor-Joy. She does not have the ferocity that the character deserves. Bring back Charlize Theron. She's the one who imbued Furiosa with life and gave us that.
I disagree. And I'll say this. The only time I thought that Anya Taylor-Joy didn't really sell the character to me was, I think, the first time she's trying to fit in as a boy soldier at one point, you know?
Yeah, we'll get to that, and that will never happen.
Okay. And I will say there is a shot of her when she comes out. She is very skinny and petite kind of girl. And it just does not sell that this would be a quote-unquote warrior of a person at all. I mean, just seeing her on screen, I'm like, it doesn't look that good. But eventually, I totally bought into her.
She also doesn't seem like she's having much fun. Like, Hemsworth is having fun. He's a bright spot for me. Basically, evil Thor. But what he lacks in range, I think he makes up for in just sheer charisma. And he was having fun. He was the funniest part of the movie, to the point where I was rooting for him so much, I didn't find the ending very satisfying.
Oh, I loved it.
No. And, by the way...
He was a great villain. That's what he was. He was a great villain.
He was a great villain. Well, let's say he was a sub-protagonist. I liked him too much to even call him the villain. And I don't like the ending. It gets very Clue, and that's all I can say about that without offering spoilers. This is the Solo of the Mad Max universe. It is.
Are you kidding
Here's
me?
the prequel
Are you
problem.
kidding me?
Yeah.
You're going to compare this to
she's
Solo?
not going to die. She's in the next movie.
I know, but so what? Dude, you're
The
way off.
stakes are too
no,
low.
No, you can't say something like that.
Oh, yeah,
no
I just
way.
said it.
I'm
This is the
telling you.
Solo of the Mad Max universe. I said it twice.
That's embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. You're holding this movie in far too high
I would
esteem.
put this right on the same level. The only downer I have is that we've seen how great it can be. So we weren't like, it wasn't a pure shock. Like when we saw Fury Road, it was like, holy crap, I'd never seen anything like this. This is just at that level. So we're missing that like shock feeling of having seen it before. But outside of that, I mean, the action sequences were incredible.
No, they were decent. Let's talk about the bad editing, because Furiosa chops her hair off twice. Why? When she's a little kid, she's first of all put in with the wives. Like if you remember from Fury Road, the good movie, where Immortan Joe has these, basically sex slaves, I suppose, that are, the reproductive healthy females. They keep them healthy, and while everyone else is dying from exposure. She originally goes there, and then she cuts off all her hair, I guess, to escape. It's not really explained why what that plot was all about. And then we cut to her as an adult, as Anya Taylor-Joy, and she has hair again.
You don't grow hair from the time.
Sure
times
you do.
Changed?
Sure you
of
do.
Course.
Of course you do.
You don't
but,
get a haircut, but
should have
people do get haircuts.
That should have been a fierce scene, like when in V for Vendetta, when Natalie Portman shaved her head. Should have been that moment in this movie. It wasn't, because we saw it before, and I guarantee you that Anya Taylor-Joy just wasn't ready to shave her head.
Oh, no.
Or something like that.
Nah.
It was bad editing. Bad
Come
editing.
on. And you're talking about bad editing. I mean, talk about the action sequences that are incredible editing. All
Yeah,
the whole thing's put together by great editing. The whole movie is
It
made
lacked the scope and feel of Fury Road, where we get these big wide shots of this huge, massive convoy barreling through the desert. Here it's like 2 or 3 vehicles.
No, the thing is, I liked that we understood the world even more here from the time when it was young Furiosa, that opening prologue that I talk about, and we see her get captured and then taken out into the desert by these horde of bikers. We understand that there was an area that had some life to it, abundance as they call it. There's things going on there. And then they went out into the desert and they don't know how to get back to this area of abundance. Then we get to know Gas City, we get to know the Citadel, and stuff that we have seen in the other movie, but we actually had a feeling of where these things existed. I didn't have that feeling in Fury Road.
I did too. I did.
It always felt like it was just a one road across the way, and that was all it was. Fury Road. But this time we actually feel like the world was expanded on a little bit more, if anything.
No, it wasn't.
That's
it was,
how I felt.
No, because in Fury Road, Mad Max comes upon these 2 warring factions, Gastown and the Citadel, right?
Right.
He comes up, and we even see the shot of his little plateau where he had parked his car, which, by the way, we even see, maybe that's a spoiler, we see the plateau, and the where he came from, everything that came before was part of that world. All the Mad Max films, Thunderdome, all of that. It was just these 2 cities that were so isolated and didn't believe the rest of the world existed anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I think the beginning, the prologue, to me, it expanded the world a little bit of them actually taking
the
young
Garden of
Furiosa
Eden.
out. I really liked it. And I loved that whole entire prologue. Like, by the time Anya Taylor-Joy was on as Furiosa, I was already like, man, this movie rocks. I was totally on board from that opening.
It doesn't suck.
Oh, no shit, it doesn't suck.
Barely.
Jesus. Okay, we already know from the first one in Furiosa that her arm is a mechanical arm.
Oh, we already knew that.
Of course.
Oh.
But we didn't know how she loses her arm.
Okay,
and
so we
learned
find out
that
how
here,
she-
And
yeah.
wasn't that cool?
No.
Didn't that add to the character at all?
No.
What?
It literally subtracted from the character.
Are you kidding me?
Subtracted 1 limb, to be precise.
I mean, that was incredible.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really
Gonna have
thought
to
so.
agree to disagree with you on that.
It's
It's a bit of a letdown.
I absolutely loved this movie. Like I said, I thought everything that Fury Road was, this was. Not joking.
No, Fury Road was a fucking masterpiece. Okay, it should be lauded as one of the greatest action movies ever made. Period. Maybe one of the best.
Furiosa's right up there.
Oh,
One of the best sequels of all time.
It's not even close, and it's not a sequel. It's a prequel, and they're just by nature boring. Sorry.
terrible. Shame on you, man.
No, shame on you. You got caught up in the hype.
No, I absolutely love this movie for sure. How about the 40-day wasteland war and the lead into that scene? There's that little.
No, if you're going to call something a 40-day wasteland war, show me a 40-day war. I want the Battle of Helm's Deep, for God's sake.
You could feel it out there. I did.
It was a bit of a montage, wasn't it?
I loved it.
Okay.
Just telling you. What about a jaw-dropping moment? There had to be something here that you liked.
Sure.
This
There's
is one
plenty
where
that I
Matt's all
liked.
going to be down on it, and he's going to be like, yeah, 3.5 jaws. I liked it.
Nope. Spoiler alert. I liked the cannibals that lived in these like rat holes underneath the citadel, where if you're on the ground level, like you might become victim. They were just big pulling people in, and you just catch glimpses of limbs dangling on hooks and things like that. Gross.
Yeah,
Liked that.
I had the two. One, the opening that I keep referring to, I absolutely loved. And I loved when Dementus attacked the gas town, which was awesome.
Okay.
It was really cool.
It was, I guess.
Yeah, all right, there you go. How about a that would never happen moment?
Oh, where do I begin? Where do I begin?
I couldn't find anything in this movie. I would imagine all of this would happen.
let's start with Anya Taylor-Joy herself. As we alluded to before, she is a bit of a waif. She's a slight, petite person with an extremely delicate, feminine, sharp features, who is in this wasteland with these mutated, overexposed brutes. And listen, you just cannot tell me that they're not looking at Anya Taylor-Joy's pretty eyes and face. And listen, if she had the mask pulled up to her nose, okay, fine. But she's like, her full face is out there, and nobody like, are you sure you're actually a boy? I mean, like, I don't buy that for 1 second. That would never happen.
Oh, I mean, it worked for Gwyneth Paltrow in Shakespeare in Love. It works for Anya Taylor-Joy here. You got to just go with it a little bit. She had the black smear on her forehead. Just go with it.
Just go with it. That would never happen. Okay, here's a better one. Ready? So I said before how she gets taken into the wives. Like they're kept behind this vault door, and then a character who's taken a perverse interest in her comes to abduct her in the night, which she uses as a way to escape. Now, Immortan Joe has traded a lot for her, you know, in amongst other things that he traded, and you know, human resources are at an all-time high in terms of value in this wasteland. She escapes in the middle of the night, and nobody raises an alarm the next day. There's no investigation. Nobody goes to look for her. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
And then suddenly there's a new guy on the loading dock. He looks just like that girl that escaped. But it's fine. That would never happen.
I did have a that would never happen moment. Mine was what's funny is Furiosa has actually got her motorcycle underneath this big truck that was going to be her getaway, and she's underneath the truck that this Jack is driving, and they come under attack as you do in the wasteland, and they're just getting bombarded. And at one point, the fuel line under the truck goes out, at least one of the fuel lines, and it's not running as fast. And he sends a guy down to fix it. Well, Furiosa's underneath there dangling as well. But what the part that I said would never happen is that guy goes to fix it. Imagine he's underneath this big rig truck. It's driving. How loud that thing is. There's bombs going off, motorcycles everywhere, and he just talks to Jack up above like, all fixed. He's like, all right, we're going again. It's you would never hear anything. It's so damn loud. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
But I love this movie. What about a movie poster quote here, Matt?
All right. I went with, there's Fury, and there's Road, and there's even Fury Road, but this is no Fury Road.
I went with, George Miller has done it again. Furiosa is a masterpiece. And then there's applause.
Okay.
4 jaws. 4 jaws for Rye the Movie
Wow.
Guy. How many jaws, Matt K?
2 jaws.
Oh, my God. Poor Matt.
Middle of the Fury Road. for
Boy,
me.
oh, boy. You should have saw it in IMAX with me.
Would that have made that much difference
I
for
don't know.
a
We
bad
loved
movie
it.
to be bigger?
Our theater was rocking.
Well,
It
listen.
was one of those, you know, when you're sitting in a theater and you can feel the buzz that everybody loves it. It had that buzz. Like, everybody's like, yeah, this is incredible.
Yeah, I felt that at Ant-Man. Didn't make it a good movie.
4 jaws for Rye the Movie Guy. 2 jaws for Matt K. I don't know what the hell he was seeing or not seeing. You blew this one, buddy.
I did not.
Kyle, you will see this one, I'm sure.
On Saturday, yeah. I got my tickets already.
I will be very curious to see where you land on this, Kyle.
I'm excited to watch it. I've been going through filling the blind spot and watching the original one, so I'm looking forward to catching up with this one.
Good. Yeah, it's a great series. And listen, I didn't hate the movie. It just, I wanted so much more. That's it.
Well, this gets us to our top 5 favorite post-apocalyptic movies, and there were a lot to go on. I'm not saying you didn't have to pick a Mad Max movie. You can't, but hopefully you didn't pick a Mad Max movie.
Oh, really? I didn't get that memo.
Well, I mean, we're talking Mad Max already, you know.
Well, okay. Maybe I'll sub one out.
Kyle, you're getting us started with your number 5 pick.
Number 5. Oh God, I'm gonna go with Terminator 2. I think just those shots and the evolution from the original one, which is more of like a slasher movie in a way, and then to have it jump forward in time and split between the near future and you know the modern times, it's fascinating to behold.
Yeah, that is a great one.
And it does have one of the best nuclear war explosion scenes. We've talked about it here on Cinemajaw, that it still scares the hell out of us when we see
when her skeleton
her dream.
just,
and she's holding on to the chain link fence.
Some good theme park rides at Universal too.
I've never done the Universal theme park ride. Have you, Ryan?
No, I've
I
never
don't
been
think
to
they have it
Universal
anymore, but I remember that being blasted all over the Fort Lauderdale airport when I went as a kid.
Nice. All right, that swings it over to me for number 5. I'm going with The Mist, the Stephen King movie. Here's the thing that we talk about The Mist plenty because it comes up a lot. It's a great movie. The thing we don't talk about is everything that happens inside the grocery store and how it's like a microcosm for society breaking down, like this zealot character who starts to lead the people toward this twisted version of faith. That would happen. That would totally happen in real life. That's why I like The Mist, because even though this Lovecraftian horror is going on right outside the doors, what's going on inside that grocery store is like, yeah, I believe that. It's sad, but it's true.
One of the bleakest endings I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a real humdinger, man.
No doubt. My number 5 pick is a film that really shocked me because I think going in I was like, oh, this can't be any good. And wow, it was really good. 2012's Dredd.
Yeah.
Which starred Carl Urban as Judge Dredd. Obviously, there was a Sylvester Stallone movie as well, which I think we finally watched on a retro review. It was the first time I think I saw it at one point. But the Carl Urban one, obviously post-apocalyptic wasteland out there, and him and his rookie partner are forced to go to this 200-story high-rise, and it's basically a city amongst itself inside this large building, and in there is a drug lord called Mama, and she's selling this drug called slow-mo. And what was great was this is when 3D was peaking because Avatar came out in 2009. And I still say to this day, Dredd in 3D, one of the best watches because they used that slow-mo drug to do the slow motion action all in 3D. It gave it like an excuse to do slow motion 3D, which is just eye candy.
Who is the guy that I'm just having a brain fart, just directed Civil War?
Yes,
Alex
Garland.
Garland. Basically, they say he directed.
He wrote the screenplay.
Right. He's not credited as the director, but the actual director was more or less fired, and Garland stepped in. So Dredd really is directed by Garland.
Yeah, the director was Pete Travis, is who it's given credit to. But yes, I've heard the same thing, that he wrote the movie and then, air quotes, helped direct it.
Right. It's so much better than you would think it would be. It's a great movie.
It really is. And I've talked about it before, how I had a 3D TV, and I had this on 3D Blu-ray. And it pains me that now that I've gotten past the 3D, I'll never be able to see it again. And that it was awesome. There was like blood splattering into my living room. It was so cool.
I would have held on to the TV just for that.
Yeah. That was my number 5 pick, Dredd. Into our 4s we go.
For number 4, I have Snowpiercer. I want to say it's 2013, Bong Joon-ho, Chris Evans. It's got a pretty stacked cast, whose names I'm falling off on here. But just the thought that all of humanity is confined to this non-ending train that basically traverses the globe at all times is just so fascinating, and the dichotomy of the rich versus the poor, essentially, while they work their way from the rear to the front. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of his typical human humor you find in there. And one of my favorite stories I've read about that movie was how insistent the director was about, like, I gotta have this fish tank in here. And Harvey Weinstein's like, no, like, screw your fish tank, we're not doing this. And he came up with this story about how his dad used to have all of these fish in his living room and how much it really meant to him. And then Weinstein's like, okay, let's do it. And then later on he's like, that was all a lie, I just wanted the fish tank for the shot.
That's how you do it.
Exactly.
No doubt.
That is a great movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it now in a long time. There was a TV show based on it,
There
too.
was. Jennifer Connelly was in there, I think. It was on TNT.
Was it any good? I haven't seen the TV show.
I don't know. Was it one season?
I don't think it was one I needed to watch.
No.
The movie can stay where it is in my mind.
Yeah, can we throw it in the fish tank? Was it just a one season and done? Not that I probably would watch it, but it was interesting. Where would that go with a series? Not the most interesting
Right. It's very
concept for a series.
Well, there are. It's based off of a French graphic novel, and I think there are at least 2, perhaps 3 books, and basically the other books are different trains. So they're not all on just one train. There are a couple that are in circulation at the same time.
Oh.
I got to revisit that. Wait, and that's Captain America. Chris, what's his last name?
Evans.
Yeah, and Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton, yes.
She's in there as well.
Yeah, and what a turn for Evans, because he was like kind of at the height of his career in the Marvel universe and whatnot, and he just looks so different in this movie. It's a weird turn for him.
I think you got Ed Harris in there too.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. It is a great one. All right. Do you guys remember 1984? If you ask yourself, what else was Catherine Mary Stewart, who plays Maggie in The Last Starfighter, what else was she in? She was in this movie, The Night of the Comet. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen it.
Oh my God, that movie
Great
is
movie.
It's really, really good, and it was like that's the kind of movie Sven Gulli would have introduced.
Exactly.
And I'm sure he probably did.
He might have. It depends on the rating of it. I can't remember what the rating is there, but
I think it might be R.
it might
Throw it in the fish tank.
Yeah, start in the fish tank.
Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet, basically what happens is a comet passes by planet Earth, depositing all this horrible red dust. 99% of humanity is wiped out, except for, wouldn't you know it, a group of teenagers that were hanging out in a movie theater projection booth. Something in the projection booth. Am I remembering it correctly?
That's the gist of it, basically.
Yeah. Something in the booth protected them from this radiation or whatever the comet did to the rest of humanity. There are zombies, but I wouldn't categorize this as a zombie movie.
No.
It's mostly about isolation, because they go out into the world and they can go shopping and get everything they want, but they're alone. And it just seeing the empty streets and everything is very surreal, kind of timely again, kind of relevant again after like the COVID years, worth a revisit for you. It would be a first time view, worth checking out.
Interesting.
Night of the Comets.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw her in The Last Starfighter.
This is a great 80s teen
I mean, when you
horror.
said the year 1984, I thought you were going to go with 1984.
That's a great movie too. I would know if, I guess you could go post-apocalyptic with it. Yeah.
So my number 4 pick, not necessarily the strongest movie. It's one, though, that I think we probably have all seen and had fun with. And the reason why I put it on my list is I was trying to think of movies that are different, why we're in a post-apocalyptic scenario. Because most, 90% is nuclear war. And then there's some other ones, like a virus goes on. But the idea that the polar caps melted and made the entire world water is just interesting as all hell, and it seems like it would be a very difficult shoot, and of course it was. I'm speaking of Kevin Costner's Waterworld, which came out in 1995.
Not where I thought you were going with that. Interesting.
Yeah. No, Costner's Waterworld was, you also got Dennis Hopper in there.
Now I understand why you liked Furiosa so much.
Zing! But no, I mean, it's a fun movie, right? I always enjoyed Waterworld, and I love the concept that most people don't believe that the old world is below them. And Costner, I love those scenes where he goes for a swim deep down in, and we see this like cityscape underwater, and he's able to grab all these things from
right, because he's a fish man.
Yeah, well, he's got gills behind his ear.
The Mariner, I
Right.
believe his character is named. Yeah.
And he's got a really cool boat, and there's jet ski chases, and it's silly.
It all makes perfect sense.
It's silly 90s movie in one sense, but like I say, it's on my list because it's interesting that what a take that the whole world has basically been flooded and there's not much land left, so everybody's just living on the sea.
Yeah, I mean, I like the movie too. It's a guilty pleasure.
It's a blind spot for me, actually. Still need to watch that one.
Yeah, if you ever wondered what it would be like to watch Kevin Costner drink pee,
I've heard about that.
yeah.
He does do that.
drinks
Absolutely. All right, into our threes we go.
For number 3, I have Escape from New York.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all the quintessential John Carpenter-isms. The score, you got Kurt Russell, Snake Plissken, Isaac Hayes as just a beautiful villain in there, especially with his souped-up Cadillac, I guess.
Yeah,
Sure.
it was a cool car.
I'm just so enamored with that movie, the kind of retro futuristic look they got going on with it, and the fact that they shoot the president's plane down and he basically becomes a prisoner within a Alcatraz-esque New York City, and they got to go retrieve him. It just tells you exactly what's going on, like 10 minutes in, and it gets it done.
Yep, Snake Plissken. How many movies have they made now? There's Escape from New York, Escape from
Escape
LA.
from LA.
And I think
Are there
that's
more?
it.
No, there's a new Escape movie. Can we throw that in the fish tank?
There is?
I think there's 3 Escape movies.
Does it have Kurt Russell? The
Yes.
third one? Oh, wow.
I don't think so.
I could be
think you're-
wrong.
I think you're wrong.
I could be wrong. And Lord knows it has happened before. I love Escape from New York. That is another great late night watch. All right, so at my number 3, I'm going with the Dawn of the Dead remake, not the George Romero. Because here's the thing, like and don't get me wrong, I love the George Romero films. I had to have a zombie movie on this. This is Zack Snyder's, probably the movie that put him on the map.
It's his best movie, maybe.
The Snyder Cut, I don't know. Arguably, yeah, I think it might be his best movie. What happened in Dawn of the Dead, the Romero version, is a lot of stuff that I didn't relate to as a kid. Great movie, scary movie, but Dawn of the Dead, the remake, I completely clicked with it. It was people going to the mall. It was a commentary on consumerism and self-absorption that Americans have and everything like that. It was basically everything that was wrong with America in one shot. Also probably Ving Rhames' best movie.
Quite good.
Yeah, I just love...
Better than Pulp Fiction.
Well, he's such a tiny part of...
But he's a great part.
Yeah, he is. I'm going to get medieval on your
He
ass.
stands very tall.
He does. You're right. Okay, I take that part back. This is Ving Rhames' second best movie.
All right, now we're talking.
That's fair.
Freaking love me some Dawn of the Dead. I'll die on that hill. I think it's better than Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
Wow.
Yeah, blasphemy in certain circles. I know, but I said it.
There is some brown face in the original one. I just watched it last week, so I can understand.
Yeah, there's definitely some problematic stuff. Although, you look at the original Night of the Living Dead, and it was pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Groundbreaking for its time.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
My number 3 pick, you don't think Pixar and post-apocalyptic movies very often, but that's where I went with my number 3 pick. One of my favorite Pixar films, Wall-E. And the year here in Wall-E, obviously it came out in 2008, but the year on Earth is 2805. Wall-E is this robot here on Earth by himself trying to clean up garbage that us humans have left. Planet won't even grow plants anymore because we're such slobs. And another robot called Eve comes down, and one of the more beautiful romances blossoms. I love Wall-E, and the animation in this movie. I still remember talking about how I was going to be disappointed because it looked so much like Johnny Five from Short Circuit, and thinking like, just it looks terrible. And I was already doubting Pixar. That was in my a mouse that cooks. Absolutely awesome, Ratatouille. And then it was like, what? They're making a robot that looks like Johnny Five? How stupid. And then I'm bawling my eyes out at the end of Wall-E. I'm like, they did it again. So Wall-E and the animation, the wasteland of Earth and Wall-E trying to clean it all up, all of that before he even blasts off into space. Fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Wall-E. You guys?
Wall-E is my favorite Pixar movie of all time. I love how the beginning of that movie is essentially a 20-30 minute silent film. There is no dialogue until they end up until Eve comes comes through, and it is also a big speech on consumerism, and we have to protect the world, and just the gluttony of humanity. It's really amusing to watch how fat and out of shape everybody is when
Yeah.
they end up getting on the Axiom.
No doubt. That was my number 3 pick, Wall-E. Into our 2s we go.
That is my number 2, is Wall-E.
Nice. You know what I like about Wall-E? 28 what did you say it was?
2805.
So I don't like it when filmmakers or storytellers in general try to put the future too close. So like in 30, 40 years, like we'll watch this movie and I mean I don't know. I think if you're going to set something in the future, fling it so far forward that we'll never get there. 800 years sounds about right.
That's Wall-E.
That is.
That was my number 3 and Kyle's number 2.
All right.
Your 2, man.
My number 2. I went with Mad Max Road Warrior, but since you said I can't do Mad Max, I was trying to keep my zombie count down. But you can't have this list and not talk about 28 Days Later. I hope I'm not stealing anybody's number 1.
It was an honorable mention of mine.
All right.
Mine
That
as well.
is more about a virus. They're not risen from the dead as much as they are infected. So it's a little different, right?
I think so.
He wakes up in the hospital, which is like a trope that The Walking Dead stole like right away. Just a really great first emergence into the
Incredible.
apocalypse.
I was going to say that's why it needs to be mentioned on this list. I think that scene of him coming out into that empty London it's just so haunting and
It is.
incredible.
It's chilling.
Yeah, it really is.
It totally is. And then the first attack with every time I get a 6-pack of soda, I now think of it as a weapon. So just a great movie.
I think it's the first time you have running zombies too, which was a major shift in the tropes.
It was, indeed. Fast zombies. A lot of people didn't like it for that reason. I was okay with it.
They're wrong.
My number 2 is a film I put on my list as a reminder to myself to rewatch because it's been quite a long time since I have revisited this Terry Gilliam film. Came out in 1995. 12 Monkeys is my number 2 pick. And obviously set in a post-apocalyptic future, devastated by disease, and they don't know what the 12 monkeys are, which is awesome. And they get this convict played by Bruce Willis, and they're going to transport him back to see what was going on with the 12 monkeys. And he's looking in all the wrong areas. We got Brad Pitt in there as a deranged patient, Madeline Stowe, who I don't remember is Christopher Plummer. Was he the guy in the future that's sending him back?
Oh, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, right?
No. Is he?
No.
I don't
It was
know. What
a
are you
Looper
talking
joke.
about?
That's a Looper joke.
Terrible. Went right over my head.
I'll go back and tell it again.
Boom, boom, boom. Shh. But Christopher Plummer's in there as well. And I couldn't place him in my mind. I think he must be the guy who sends him back from the future into the past. I can't even picture him. And
It's
that's
been a long time since
Seems
I've
like
seen
the
it.
kind of role that he would play in that.
and I thought, all right, I got to rewatch 12 Monkeys again. But the ending of that film is great because we're seeing the visions that the character Bruce Willis is having at the airport time and time again, and he's not sure how it's going to play out, but you're getting the visions, and then it all comes together at the end. You're like, oh, click,
Yeah. It's a good one. I like that movie.
It's another-
I need to rewatch it as well.
It's another one they made a TV show on, I'm pretty sure.
Did they?
Yeah.
Huh.
Can we throw that in the fish tank? Was there a 12 Monkeys TV show? I'm 90% sure there was.
We're giving KP a lot in the fish tank.
Into our number ones we go, though. So what do we got there, Kyle?
For number 1, I have Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men.
We think alike. It's my number 1 as well.
Let's talk about it.
It's a damn good movie. I mean, you got the world. It's set not too distant future
Yeah,
from here,
I wrote
right?
it down here. 2027.
See, that
Coming
we're
up.
going to get there.
Yep.
There we go. I mean, the entire world just becomes barren, and you can't have children anymore. And so, faced with that reality that humanity is up against it with extinction, it's got a lot of great performances from Clive Owen. Julianne Moore is excellent in there. I mean, you talk about that. It's 10-minute one shot they do in the
Yeah.
car with the motorcycle chase. Like, that's a phenomenal piece of filmmaking, as well as the sequence where they're kind of going through the city with the tanks and they're moving from building to building. It really builds suspense in an impactful way that you really feel for these people, and you feel the dire situation that they're in.
There were a couple of things that Cuarón did there that I thought were very innovative. We see it all the time now, but like a tracking shot where he's following Clive Owen and an explosion takes place and then residue and stuff goes onto the lens, which at the time was like, whoa, my God, what's going on
It
here?
was very visceral.
Yes, and and now you see that all the time. But I remember being stunned in Children of Men, like, holy crap! I mean, there's stuff on
That
the
explosion.
lens. This is wild as hell. And the idea that women can't have babies anymore, and what the mindset of the human race, as we know what it seems to be, that we're dying out, and what that kind of effect it would have on society. I mean, art becomes almost useless. All the stuff that we held so, close is like, who gives a crap about that? We're all dying now. It just doesn't matter.
Interesting. I don't know, I don't know if I would buy that as the actual reaction we would have as a species to that reality, but it's a damn good movie. I'm not taking anything away from that movie. It's amazing.
What do you got at number one?
All right, so at number one, I had Snowpiercer. So if I have to call an audible here, I am going to put up what I'm going to go ahead and say is the best anime of all time and talk about Akira. Wonderful movie. Can sit down and watch it right now. I would just watch it all the way through. The art, every frame is just a breathtaking work of art, and it is a great post-apocalyptic story. I've read some of the manga, but it's dense. I mean, the manga's like they're like telephone books. But the movie is although it gets a lot of crap from purists who say that it takes away. I bet you KP is going to give me crap about it. It takes away a lot of the subplots and context. I think it functions just fine. And it's one of my favorite movies, too, of all time. I love Akira.
It's great. There's no doubt about it. Like you say, the animation style, and it's just awesome.
It really is.
Yeah. So
when was the last time you watched Akira?
Not that long ago. Maybe within 5 years, I've seen it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Was it at the 70 millimeter at the Music Box at the last?
No.
No. There was a rumored 70 print that exists, and it's probably only in collector's hands somewhere. We haven't been able to track them down, but there was one made, but we have not been able to play it on 70.
I came across it on Blu-ray somewhere, and I bought it like on cheap on a sale. And I was like, I saw it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go home.
Watch Akira on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Purchase.
Yeah. Get under the influence and watch
like
Akira.
you do,
You know what I mean? And that's what I did. And I had a great time. I watched it. So, yeah, in the last 5 years.
All right, you want some rapid-fire honorables?
Honorables. What do you got?
All right, rapid fire. Here we go. The Matrix, Book of Eli, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Shaun of the Dead, and I Am Legend.
A couple of mine have been mentioned already, so the only two I have remaining are the Romero Dawn of the Dead and Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
Oh, one I'm not familiar with.
It's a Hayao Miyazaki. It's technically the first Studio Ghibli movie. And it is it's got some similarities to Princess Mononoke, talking about environmentalism, but it's basically a world in which giant insect-like creatures are kind of in existence, and just the traditional Miyazaki-isms that you kind of see going around there. He also made that into a manga, and I think there's a stage show that exists out in Tokyo right now.
Couple others that hadn't been mentioned. Bird Box, which was
I didn't even think in that vein.
shockingly very good for a Netflix
Yeah,
film.
Quiet Place too.
A Quiet
Yeah.
Place as well. I have, and then I just finished it last night. It's a cheat because it's a TV show, but damn did I love it, and it's out on Amazon Prime right now. Fallout.
It is, but that's a great answer. It's not a movie, but I almost put that on my list too.
I was about to put it on my top 5 and just say, like, I know I'm cheating, but I literally just finished this yesterday. I want to talk about how great Fallout
Walton
is.
Goggins is so good.
So good as the ghoul. Best TV show I've seen this year so far. So,
Oh, wow.
got to say Fallout.
Based on a video game.
I know. Never played the video game, didn't know anything about it, but I love the
fun.
show. Love the show. Jawheads, if we missed your favorite post-apocalyptic movie and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet. We're at Cinemajaw. Our email, it's feedback@cinemajaw.com. We're taking a quick break, but we still got more to come. We got a Garfield review.
Oh, yeah.
And we got some Mad Max movie trivia. Stick with us.
Jawheads, there are two things that we love to do during Viggo Mortensen month and two ways to celebrate. Enjoying Viggo clips and pissing Ryan off. I mentioned it at the top of the show, and here we have a selection from Rye the Movie Guy's least favorite Viggo Mortensen movie, 28 Days, where a recovering Viggo delivers motivation and wisdom to one Sandy B.
Boo.
Hold on. Gwen, hey, please. Come here a second. What were you thinking about? When you threw the ball, what were you thinking about?
I don't know. Is mating habits of African ants? I don't know. It's the strike thing.
The mattress. You're thinking about hitting the mattress.
Yeah.
Right? Well, might sound funny to you, but that's all wrong.
Oh, good.
You get all locked in on the strike zone. Next thing you know, it's looking about the size of a peanut. And you're thinking, You're thinking, damn, I gotta get that little ball in there? You psyched yourself right out of the game. Strike zone, the call, count, the batter, all that. Forget all that. You gotta think about the little things, you know? The things you can control. You can control your stance, your balance, your release, your follow through. If I think about those little things, and only those little things,
Sparkling drinks, it awful dandy, 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 dandy.
And we're back. We're talking about the post-apocalyptic world of Furiosa, and we're about to talk about Garfield. We're talking about Godzilla with Kyle Cubr and the Music Box. A lot on the plate today, Rye. But speaking of a lot on the plate, we threw a few things into the fish tank. Why don't we open up that fish tank and see how KP is doing?
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up!
No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, there's some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
you're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hello, thank you all so much. It's so great to be out of the fish tank this week. And I have to be honest with you, I feel as though this has been a bit of a Hail Mary for me and that my world is ending because I had so much work to do. You guys really laid it on. But that's okay because what I come here to do every week is not just get a Diet Coke or a Sprite, but also to do some of the hard-hitting journalism that we love and expect from this show. So the first thing that we had thrown in here was just like how many seasons of the Snowpiercer series was there, and if there was more than one. There's 3.
Oh my God!
There are 3 published seasons of the Snowpiercer series.
That's insane.
It really is.
I looked into this as well. I think the reason we haven't heard about them is largely they're receiving mixed to average reviews. The general consensus kind of seems to be without Jung Boon-ho, there's not a whole lot here, but it's still making money somehow.
I actually have that phrase tattooed.
Without Jung Boon-ho, there's nothing here. Yeah. As you should. Has he seen it? We'll get him on. Okay, and get this. One last bit about the Snowpiercer series. Not only are there 3 seasons of this so far, there is a 4th one that is airing in July.
Jeez, it won't stop.
The train that won't stop.
The train
that won't stop. That's really good.
That won't stop.
Our second one, what is Night of the Comet rated? PG-13. PG-13. 1980s PG-13 also, mind you.
Right.
Totally different.
Totally different.
I did, while I was in there, check it out, and it is on a few different streaming services. You can watch it right now to see what that 1980s PG-13 is like. Maybe get like one side boob. With ads, you can check it out on Roku, Tubi, and Pluto. And it is free. Say it with me, you boys know. Hoopla! It is on Hoopla.
Nice.
You have a library card, just get it, you fools.
Nice.
Or, like, check with your library, because they might not have it. Okay, this one was actually the most interesting. This is where I spent the most time researching this week. And we have how many Escape from Snake Plissken films are there?
It's got to be 2.
So what we have is 2. What we need is countless. And what we were so close to having. There are 4 that we are supposed to have had. Well, I guess 2 more that we are supposed to have had. That was unclear. But Escape from LA did not make a whole lot of box office money, so the other ones just never saw the light of day.
Canceled.
We were supposed to be seeing, after Escape from LA, Escape from Earth, and we did not get that.
Shame.
Absolutely.
That's travesty.
After Escape from Earth, we were supposed to get Escape from Mars.
Yes. Oh, man.
Is there nowhere Snake will not go?
I think there's a South Park episode where they make a reference like that, where they bring Kurt Russell in and then send him through the Stargate. And it's him with the eye patch on.
I love it.
That's the closest we'll ever get. There was also... maybe I'm being pessimistic because for reasons I will never understand. In development hell, there has been a reboot starring Gerard Butler. Kurt Russell and literally every fan ever dislikes that.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's a thing?
That sounds like an early 2010s pitch to me.
It's still in development hell, and it's been passed around. Like different directors have looked at it. Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I don't have that note up in front of me.
That's
really good. El Mariachi. We love him.
Robert Rodriguez.
Thank you. Supposed to have done it, but they canned him.
I can't believe you went
idiots.
with Shark Girl and Lava Boy.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I'm sorry.
And age gap, mind you, 30 years old. Leave me alone.
Leave them alone.
But you have since caught up with Robert Rodriguez's.
You are lucky I did not say Alita, and I said that specifically because I have talked about that film enough on this show.
And the Spy Kids movies are pretty damn good, too.
You think God stays in heaven because he too fears what he created?
Yes.
And then our last question, was there a 12 Monkeys TV show? Yes, Sci-Fi produced it.
I remember it now.
This one did end, so there is good news. I regret to inform all the 12 Monkeys fans, nothing's coming for you in July. Check Snowpiercer, I guess. But that entire series is streaming on Hulu.
I don't think I'm going to check it out.
No, but we want to rewatch the original 12 Monkeys. That we should do. And I got to admit, I'm kind of curious about the Snowpiercer series. I'm the problem, Ryan. You are.
Yeah.
You always are the problem. Well, we're still in the fish tank. Next week, we're looking at a few different movies. One of them, In a Violent Nature, which played at the Critics Fest, is opening up at the end of the month. There is a new J-Lo film out on Netflix called Atlas. And there might be something else out there. You know what else is the Jim Henson movie that you wanted to see?
I did kind of want to see that, right.
So we'll do 2 of those 3.
Sounds good.
We'll still discuss. But it's a little teaser for next week.
There you go. Some mystery, too.
I agree.
Suspense.
I think that's everything.
That is. The world can end. I can go die.
Jump back in there.
Will do.
Hey, speaking of post-apocalyptic wastelands, Garfield. Here we are with yet another huge chunk of our childhoods on the last train to Prattsville. First the toys, then the video games, and now the Sunday funnies. Chris Pratt and cats rule the internet, and no one can figure out why. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Garfield movie. But is it really? Ryan and I ordered a lasagna from the concession stand, grabbed our Pookie, and settled into our cat bed to find out. And on a Monday, too.
Wait here, Junior. I'll be right back.
You hungry, little guy?
Mamma mia, style lasagna to go.
I'm gonna name you Garfield.
Let's get it.
What is it with us basically handing the reins of pop culture over to Chris Pratt? I mean, sure, he did a great job as the voice of Lego in the Lego movie. And yeah, he was pretty decent and perhaps rightfully more believable than a stereotypical Italian accent as Mario in the Super Mario movie. But Garfield? I mean, no one saw this coming, not even Bill Murray. It's odd, but I need to say, it kind of works. Chris Pratt is actually a decent choice for Garfield's more irreverent and less grumpy side. More on that in a minute. The basic plot of the Garfield movie is this, and I can't believe I wrote that sentence. After a brief origin story, Garfield and Odie get kidnapped. Luckily, Garfield's estranged father, played by Sam Jackson, because we need him in everything too, is there to rescue them. But soon they are all embroiled in a scheme, a heist, and a barnyard adventure. I gotta say, the movie worked for me and my family. This is Garfield updated for a modern audience, ordering pizza on food apps, taking selfies with John, etc. While a lot of that was for the purpose of product placement, I begrudgingly need to admit that the kids just loved it because they can relate to that a whole lot more than a coffee-guzzling, Monday-hating, sleeping-in bore that we get in the funny pages. I mean, that's what Dilbert is for. Which brings me to the point I teased earlier. I can understand the criticism that Garfield is a little too lively and ungrumpy in this, but I would posit that this is early Garfield. Garfield year one, if you will. There's certainly room for character development in the inevitable sequel. So just cool your meatballs and don't get your noodles in a bunch. Well, I'm not sure anyone was asking for this movie. It's probably a rights expiration thing. It was far better than my low expectations for it. If you have kids or if you're just really a big Garfield fan, there have been way worse interpretations of the character.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was not even on my radar that we were going to cover Garfield. I didn't see this movie.
He's got a billboard.
But I was calling Matt, or you called me, something about Cinemajaw, and Matt said, well, I'm on my way. I'm taking the family to go see Garfield. I was like, what?
It was a press screening.
I know. I didn't even know because I think when it came, I just deleted it.
Well, you know,
we didn't discuss. I just deleted the invitation. I'm like, I don't know, Garfield.
That's not a real movie.
Yeah, I'm not going to see it. It was not even on my radar to see.
So we go to a lot of these press screenings, and you know, it's not very often that they do some special things once in a while. They actually had the star of the movie there.
No way.
Yeah, Garfield was there. It was fantastic. He came up to the front of the audience and he waved for a minute, and it was just really special. It really was.
It's unbelievable. But you guys are cat people also, the Kavitskis. So this makes sense.
We go to Cat Video Fest at the Music Box every year.
So this makes sense that Garfield is like, oh yeah, we're all going to Garfield.
Yeah, my wife is an extreme Garfield fan.
Real?
Oh, for real, yeah. Pajamas, everything, like coffee mug that says Mondays, all the whole nine. My sister was, too, growing up.
As you were reviewing it and doing all these Garfield puns in there and references, that was when it was hitting me. I forgot all about it, but I remember, yes, the Mondays and the lasagna. But until you'd said it, I had forgot all about Garfield.
Don't get it twisted. Garfield is an intellectual property juggernaut. And if you enjoy the darker side of things, you can go deep down the creepypasta Garfield rabbit hole, because there is a lot of lore around Garfield. KP knows what I'm talking about.
The Lasagna Cat YouTube channel, which is incredible. That's dark. Or just like there's a John being insane.
Yeah.
And like a murderer.
Right.
Yes.
The Garfield doesn't exist. John's talking to himself. There's like whole comics where they take Garfield out. And it's got
those are incredible.
Yeah,
we haven't even gotten started on how much they abuse Nermal,
right?
Which is incredible. Like the violence in the strip is incredible.
If you're familiar with the cartoon Garfield and Friends from the early '90s, thank you, KP.
The peak of Garfield.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say this cartoon, this movie fits more to that vibe. It's kind of like the and Friends part of Garfield and Friends, but with Garfield. So I really enjoyed it.
Did you have a movie poster quote?
Yes, I did. This is the best Garfield movie.
You didn't have a that would never happen moment.
I don't have a that would never happen because it's a cartoon.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, but I did have a jaw-dropping moment. How good Garfield's origin story was. I never knew I really cared to hear Garfield's origin story, but it was freaking charming. It was freaking charming.
How many jaws?
This movie shockingly scores better than Furiosa.
Don't do it.
Garfiosa is real.
Garfiosa or what did I say first?
Fury Field or something? Garfiosa is way better.
Garfiosa is better. I'm going with 2, and I'm dusting off the quarter jaw. 2.75 jaws. This is almost a 3-jaw family movie. If you're looking for something to do with the whole family, Garfield's a good pick.
That is just terrible, man. I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at you.
Thank you, Seth Rogen. Garfield is better than Furiosa.
One more time with that.
I'm guaranteeing you I'm not alone on that opinion.
Unbelievable. All right. So Matt liked Garfield more than Furiosa. All right. Let's get back to reality here. We're gonna play some trivia in the podcast. I don't even know what else to say. But we are going to play Mad Max series cast movie trivia. So any actor that appeared in any of the Mad Max films is up for play inside this trivia.
Got it.
It's 8-question movie trivia. You each get a shot. If one doesn't know the answer, you get a steal on the other. Kyle, you're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. They do start off easy.
I'm going to go first.
Do it.
Question number 1. Tina Turner, who was in Beyond the Thunderdome, had a biopic made on her in 1993 in which Angela Bassett played her. What was the name of that movie?
The Bodyguard?
Okay, so it's got to be one of her song titles, right? And there's really only 2 that jump out at you. And it's probably either What's Love Got to Do with It or it's What's Love Got to Do with It?
It is What's Love Got to Do with It.
I was going to say or Proud Mary, but yeah.
That wouldn't have been a good title.
No, it wouldn't have been.
No. Question 2 over to Matt K. Matt, in 1990's Bird on a Wire, Mel Gibson portrays a man in witness protection program who is unexpectedly reunited with his former girlfriend who starred in the film with him as his girlfriend.
I love this movie.
No, do you?
I really do. I've seen it so many times. It's Goldie Hawn.
It is Goldie Hawn. Wow, Matt comes out on fire. Didn't see this coming. 2-0, Matt K. Question 3, back over to Kyle. Nicholas Hoult, who is in Fury Road, played what character in the X-Men movies?
Iceman?
Incorrect. Matt, you got a chance for a steal and to blow this thing wide open.
All my comic book nerd friends are screaming at their... Nicholas Hoult. He's not Iceman, as we just found out. Dude, I want to say he's either Toad or Nightcrawler. I'm going to go with Nightcrawler. That's Toad?
We're looking for
Neither.
Beast.
Yeah.
Beast.
Wow.
Son of a gun. Still 2-0, Matt K. Question 4 is over to him. Matt, which Mad Max actor also appeared in the 2008 film Rock and Rolla?
The guy that plays Bullet Tooth or whatever the hell his name is. Read me the question one more time.
Which Mad Max actor also appears in 2008's Rock and Rolla?
Tom Hardy?
It is Tom Hardy. 3-0, Matt K. You got some catching up to do here, Kyle. Kyle, which Mad Max actor also appeared in the Matt Reeves film The Batman? Could be an actress. Which Mad Max actress also appears in the Matt Reeves film The Batman?
Oh, God. I can't even think of that one.
Zoe Kravitz?
That is correct.
It's the only girl. She was Catwoman.
Yeah.
Right. And she was in Mad Max Fury Road.
She was in Fury Road?
She was in Fury Road, yes. Wow, it is a slaughter at this point. This never happens. Come on, Kyle, you got to get some answers here. Question 6 is over to Matt K. Matt, Anya Taylor-Joy has made one movie with Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, come on, man.
Name it.
The Menu.
It is. Oh my God. Is Matt ever this good at trivia?
Never,
KP? No,
never.
I don't know what got into you, Matt.
Too much lasagna.
Yeah, fired up on Garfield.
Yeah, Garfiosa,
man. Question 7 over to Kyle. In 2012, Chris Hemsworth starred in a remake in which he played the same character Patrick Swayze did in the 80s. What movie was remade?
2012.
2012, Chris Hemsworth starred in a movie in which he played the same character that Patrick Swayze did in a movie in the 1980s. What movie are we talking about that was remade?
Ghost?
They've done Point Break. They've done Roadhouse now, but that was just this year. They did Dirty Dancing. It's one of those three. It's not obviously Roadhouse, so it's either Point Break or Dirty Dancing. What year?
In 2012.
Huh, that's a toss-up. I'll go with Dirty Dancing. Is it Point Break?
Red Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah. I'm an idiot.
I never saw the remake, but he played Jed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ball game is technically over here, but last question to you, Matt K. Charlize Theron starred in one movie with Johnny Depp. It came out in 1999. Name the movie. Charlize and Johnny Depp in one film together. Any guess?
Was she in one of the Pirates movies?
Kyle, any guess?
90s. Is Ian Flux 99?
That's a good guess.
Was a good guess. We were looking for The Astronaut's Wife.
Okay.
What a clunker that was.
Yeah, I've never even
So is
heard of
Ian
it.
Flux.
Yeah. Wasn't even about the astronaut. It was about the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see The Butcher's Wife?
No.
That's a good movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
If it came down to a jawbreaker, it would have been this. Age of Goldie Hawn closest to. Matt, do you got a guess on how old Goldie is these days?
Well, I mean, she's been gracing screens big and small since Laugh-In. We're going all the way back to the 70s, and I would put her in her 70s at this point, probably mid to late 70s. Let's say that she is 76 years old.
Lock him in at 76. Kyle, you got a guess?
That was going to be my guess. We'll go with 74.
78 for Goldie Hawn.
Wow.
78. Unbelievable. Still going.
Yeah. She's great. She's amazing. She's one of the all-timers, for sure.
Well, can we get a handshake here?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, Matt won. It's usually that's what
Deserved.
we say
It's
here.
okay.
I swear, Kyle, he's usually not this good at trivia.
Just went my way.
Yeah. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, you write the questions
I know.
to get me stumped.
No, I don't do that. I
Yeah, you
write them
do.
as fair as I can, you know. Got to write these every week.
Yeah. Spend a little more time next
Jeez. Oh, my God.
Well, it brings us to the end of a very fun and entertaining job. First and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Kyle, for coming on. Best of luck with the fest, and congratulations on it already.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it, and thanks for having me on.
We also got to thank our editor, our producer, KP.
Yes, absolutely. Always looking forward to a great Cinemajaw. And I mentioned it a couple of times. June 29th, there is another Pancakes and Booze at Reggie's. And I will say the artwork that I have is really, I'm super, super proud of a lot of this stuff. Some of it's concept artwork for a graphic novel I'm working on. The prints that are going to be at this one are like very special to me in ways that the previous ones haven't. So links for that are going to be in the notes.
We also want to thank our Patreons. Thanks for supporting the show. If you want to join us over there, go to patreon.com/cinemajaw. And it would mean the world to us if you can support us.
And another thing you can do, just click a button. Whatever you're listening to this on, open up the app and just start tapping your screen randomly. It's sure to help us out. But likes and follows and subscribes, we really appreciate that. It does help.
Sure does. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay. And keep on jawing about the movies.